Okay, with that, I will call the June 11th, 2020 meeting to order. Francis, this says that you need to do a roll call vote.
No, we no longer do a roll call if we're voting in PrimeGov.
Okay,
You have quorum and the agenda was properly posted.
okay. Thank you. Item number 2 on the agenda this morning is the swearing-in ceremony for Amy Madera.
Okay, Amy, if you will unmute your phone and repeat after me. This is a virtual swearing in. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Amy Madera,
I, Amy Madera,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and that I will not knowingly receive,
that I will not knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money or other valuable thing
any money or valuable thing
for the performance
for the performance
or non-performance
or non-performance
of any act or duty
or any act or duty
pertaining to my office
pertaining to my office
other than the compensation allowed by law.
allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge my duties
that I will faithfully discharge my duty
as board member
as board member
of the Oklahoma City
of the Oklahoma City
Employee Retirement System
Employment Right Retirement System
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Amy.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations, Amy. Welcome. We're glad to have you.
Glad to be here. Thank you all.
Okay, item number 3 on the agenda this morning is to approve the minutes of meeting of May 4th, 2020.
Need to make a motion to amend the minutes. In the top portion, it shows I wasn't present.
Got it?
Okay, this is an amendment and you're going to make the motions online to click to move and click to second, and then you will be given a screen to vote. And this motion is to approve as amended.
I'm not getting anything.
Neither
Okay,
am
just
I.
a second. They're calling it up.
Okay, there it is. I have a motion and a second to approve item number 3 as amended. All in favor? Record your vote.
Paul, can you vote?
I'm not getting I don't see the buttons there, Francis.
Okay, click escape and see if it will split your screen.
Now it's coming up.
Okay, Paul, do you still not see the vote? Would you go down and click the Chrome button and it should pull it up?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, you have to go back and forth. Yeah. Who are we waiting on? Randy, can you see the vote? Randy, you're muted.
Well, this isn't working very well. I'm pressing the space bar to unmute and it's not unmuting me. And so I've got to click and I'm not seeing where I can vote.
Okay, did you go to your Chrome button, open it up and see if it's there?
My Chrome button. What's my Chrome button? What's my
Uh,
Chrome button?
It's the round, it's red at the top and I think green at the bottom. It's an icon on the bottom of your screen.
I don't have an icon at the bottom of my screen. Oh, this, okay.
Yeah, it's the Google Chrome.
Yeah, I'm clicking it. It's not helping.
Okay, we don't think you logged into PrimeGov anyway, so you need a voice vote, Paul, from Ken and Brandy.
Oh, I'm showing that I'm logged into PrimeGov. PrimeGov.com live meeting 394.
What's the meeting date? Did you click into the, what agenda is showing up, Brandy?
Well, it's not up there now, so I don't know.
Okay.
All right, well then let's just do a voice vote for Ken and Randy.
And Amy, were you able to vote?
It has amend on mine.
Okay, now I'm popping up that is showing that I want to second the motion.
Well, we have a motion and a second.
Amy, do you see your voting screen?
I do. It says waiting on mine.
That may be an internet connection issue. So those of you who can't vote online, please indicate yes or no on the motion to amend and approve the minutes.
I vote yes.
This is Ken. I vote yes.
Randy, I vote yes.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda is to ratify approvals. We have 3 items, and we can take those with one vote, I assume. Francis, is that correct?
That's correct.
So I'll entertain a motion on number 4. Item 4, please.
Okay, now I'm in for some reason.
Thank
Okay.
you, Randy.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on item 4. Please record your vote.
Randy, this is Ken. I vote yes.
Perfect. That's everybody, Paul.
Okay. Item number 5 is to approve the claims docket. I have a motion and a second on item 5. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Item 5 passes unanimously. Item number 6 is to approve the following applications for service retirement. We have, it looks like 3 applications this month. I have a motion and a second on item 6. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Okay, item number 6 is approved unanimously. Item number 7 is to receive the report of death, authorize payment of the $5,000 death benefit, and authorize secretary to make necessary changes to conform on the following. We have 3 cases. I have a motion and a second on item 7. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Okay, item 7 is approved unanimously. Item number 8 is to receive the report of death, authorize secretary to make necessary changes to conform on the following. We have one case. Have a motion and a second on item 8. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Item 8 is approved unanimously. Item number 9 is to approve the following application of vested rights. We have several cases this month. Have a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Item 9 is approved unanimously. Item 10 is to ratify approval of the following: to terminate vested rights and receive a lump sum distribution of her employee contribution account. Have a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Item 10 is approved unanimously. Item 11 on the agenda is to approve the request of the following: to terminate vested rights and commence retirement benefits. I have a motion and a second on item 11. Please record your vote.
Yes.
Item 11 is approved unanimously. Item number 12 is to receive the report of death, death of employee while in active service, and approve the pension to the spouse.
Yes.
Item 12 is approved unanimously.
Hmm.
Item 13 is the investment consultant report. Jason, you're up.
Okay, thank you. If everybody has my report, maybe I'll just talk rather than trying to share the screen. Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So you have the May report in front of you, and certainly as we look at the total fund numbers, you can see that there's been a pretty significant recovery from where you were. At the end of May, the total fund stood at $754.8 million. That's up about just under 70 million from the end of March. Just to put in context the rebound we've seen. Saw something a couple days ago that a manager sent out, reviewing indices at various points in time that was just pretty shocking that I thought I'd share. So if we look at the 10-year return for U.S. stocks, the S&P 500, from March 23rd, 2010 to March 23rd of 2020. March 23rd of this year was really the bottom of the market right before the Fed intervened with the the second lowering of rates down to basically zero, and the indication that they're going to purchase almost anything, and then the fiscal stimulus that was initiated. The 10-year return of the S&P over that period was 8.8%. If we measured from June 8th, 2010 to June 8th, 2020, which was Monday of this week, that 10-year period, which is just 3 months later, that 10-year annualized return is over 14%. So a 6% annualized differential over 10 years. And I point that out just to reiterate how significant the endpoint is when looking at results. Certainly as a pension fund, you're a long-term, you have long-term liabilities and you're an ongoing concern, but oftentimes you are measuring from a funded status and liability standpoint at a single point in time, which is in your case the end of the calendar year. So that can be it could be good in some years, or it could be bad depending on what's happening. Fortunate thing this year, hopefully, the end of 2019 was a very good period. The first quarter was a very bad period, but we've had a bit of a bounce back. And now overall, on a trailing 1 year through the end of May, the total fund is up just under 7% on a gross basis and about 6.5% net of fees on a trailing 1 year basis, while still down slightly year to date. Overall, the portfolio is performing well, despite what's happened in the markets. We're really pleased with what's happening. The long short equity composite, which I know for a good portion of the last decade, we've talked a lot about how that insurance or hedges have held you back. The reason why you have insurance is for periods like we've just experienced. The year-to-date return for the long-short composite is positive 3%, and that's from the beginning of calendar year through the end of May, versus the global equity markets still down about 9%. Large cap U.S. stocks on a year-to-date calendar year basis are down 5%. So you can see that long-short equity or the hedge portfolio really provided a nice buffer of protection, actually generating positive return over the period. The biggest dispersion of returns, and we talked about this last month, really over the last year, and certainly calendar year to date, has been within fixed income. Your fixed income portfolio has much less sensitivity to interest rate movements. As U.S. Treasury yields have plummeted, Treasury prices have gone up. Within your portfolio, you have a lot less interest rate exposure. The fixed income is allocated to multiple strategies, most of which try to generate return through things other than just interest rate sensitivity, primarily credit through corporate bonds, investment grade corporate bonds, and below investment grade corporates in the Western portfolio, non-U.S. bonds in the Brandywine portfolio, and then the PAMCO strategy, which you will be getting out of in lieu of a more traditional bond-oriented, dynamic kind of benchmark agnostic bond strategy. That PAMCO strategy, nonetheless, a lot of credit and some equity surrogates in that. That struggled over the last year relative to the aggregate benchmark, but since the end of March, when markets have bounced back, you've really benefited, and we think that's a pretty compelling area in the markets is credit and even some below investment grade and potentially distressed credit opportunities. Your fixed income for the month of May was up 1.8%, whereas the benchmark is up about less than 0.5% in the month. And that's because now that yields have dropped so dramatically, you're not going to get much yield in the benchmark. whereas what you have in fixed income, you're generating a lot more yield in those strategies that I mentioned. Just as an example, the Brandywine strategy for the month, which is primarily non-U.S. Bonds, was up 4% in the month of May. So a really nice bounce back. All that said, as to how good a bounce back we've seen the last 2 months, as I mentioned last month, we still are fairly cautious and concerned about where we are in terms of equity markets. We're seeing today a pretty significant sell-off post Fed minutes yesterday. The Fed came out and announced, I don't think any surprises, but the market has reacted. Rates to remain near zero through 2022. Not at all thinking about raising rates, obviously. Weaker demand and lower oil prices are expected to hold down inflation, even though financial conditions domestically have improved. The Fed reiterated its commitment to using its full range of tools to support the economy. They did make some further statements on economic projections, which they don't normally do, but felt it was appropriate at this time. As far as GDP, they are estimating GDP falling 6.5% for 2020, but bouncing back by about 5% in 2021. But that's still, a pretty significant decline in GDP this year, which isn't surprising based on what we're seeing. Unemployment, while the May number was pretty good, up 2.5 million, the April number was down 20 million. So that's, we're certainly significant job losses. And not, while we are starting to see some things coming back, I think for the most part, as evidenced by how we're meeting today, the local, regional, national, and global economies are still pretty well shut down for the most part. A survey that was published in the journal yesterday, I think is pretty telling on how people are perceiving things. They looked at a number of more personal, like consumer-oriented things, going out to eat, going on vacation, going to a mall, movies, the gym, and looking at how comfortable people are, the percentage of people that say that they're comfortable doing that. And they looked at this at the end of April, middle of May, the end of May, and at the first week of June. While that has gone up a little bit, at the end of April, those percentages of people saying that they were comfortable doing those types of things was right around 10%, 10% or less. That's bumped up. Going out to eat, nationwide, it's about 30% of people say they're comfortable doing that today. Whereas certain things like going to the movies or going to the gym are right around 20%. Those may seem like mundane things, but that's certainly an indication of really lack of consumer demand. And as we look at this bounce back in the equity markets, while the valuations today, maybe yesterday before because the market sold off quite a bit today, valuations are pretty lofty, back above the 15-year moving average in terms of PE. Price has gone up with still a lot of uncertainty about earnings. So we want to continue to remain cautious, having appropriate risk in the portfolio, being at targets. You have always done a good job of managing your allocation, not being reactive when things are bad and not being too reactive when things are good, and taking some chips off the table or adding back to where we need to. So overall, the asset allocation really remains as it was coming into this, partially because you've made some adjustments to your allocation and real assets, you're below the target, and you've been below the target because it takes some time putting money to work there. So you're about 2% overweight to equity and 1.5% overweight to fixed income, with real assets being underweight. We've had a an additional commitment in the queue with Morgan Stanley of $9 million for some time. They called $2.5 million. I want to say it was in at the end of March, and they're calling the balance of that at the end of this month. So 6.75 million is being called. You have that, and we've held that back in cash. Your cash has been a little bit higher. That was the Gresham Commodities redemption that we did not redeploy, knowing that this was going to be coming. So that capital call is due at the end of the month. I know Renee has seen it, and I see Matt's on the line, and I know he's seen it, and we've communicated with him. But that will be called, and getting that real assets back up to target a little bit. The one thing that we do need to address, as a reminder, the decision was made back in February to move from the PAMCO hedged strategy to a liquid, more bond-like absolute return strategy. We put that we were intending to interview managers, 2 managers at the March meeting that we put off as the replacement for PAMCO. The PAMCO redemption was put in for a June 30 redemption. It's going to take some time for that money to come back because it's invested in underlying hedge fund strategies that have varying liquidity. That said, I feel as though we need to, one way or the other, whether we're in person, which we probably won't be, at least I don't know that managers could come in, but we should plan to move forward with interviewing managers at the July meeting, even if it's done virtually, or we can represent our material on the managers to the board and make a recommendation to you. But we're going to need to get that in place, a replacement manager for PAMCO, as that money is going to start to be coming back. We also anticipate having a private markets recommendation at the next meeting. As I've mentioned in the last couple of months, I believe we think there's going to be compelling opportunities in distressed markets, just like we saw after the tech bubble crash in 2001 and 2002, and after the global financial crisis in 2008. There were pretty compelling opportunities with managers that operate in the distressed markets. And we have an opportunity that we want to bring to you next month. And so that typically is done without interviewing, where we just make the recommendation. But I'm bringing that up just as more remotely as something to plan for. I think that those things need to be on the agenda and handled at the next month's meeting. So all in all, I think the important thing to keep in mind, while at a point in time, the end of March, things looked horrible. What your allocation that you has protected. You've participated certainly in the bounce back, up about 70 million from March through the end of May. So certainly moving in the right direction. No specific manager concerns other than the things that we're in the pipeline addressing already. Any
Okay.
questions, comments?
If you have a question, remember to unmute yourself.
Yes.
How do we go about deciding whether or not we're going to bring those bond managers in or not?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to bring them in person. My assumption is that most firms aren't able to travel and won't be able to travel. But, operating as we are today, if we had them present via virtual meeting, might be what we have to do. From what our understanding is, just talking to folks in the Northeast and some other areas of the country, most of them aren't even considering coming back into the office this calendar year. And travel, I don't know. I mean, we could ask, but my sense is that's probably not happening. That said, I don't feel like we can just not move forward with things. If we're able to handle these things virtually, we need to plan for that. So,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my recommendation would just be to schedule it and interview those two managers virtually.
Okay. Well, I've got that on my list. We'll make sure that we get that on the July agenda.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 14 on the agenda is comments from board, staff, and citizens. I just want to bring
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
this
sir.
is Wiley. I wanted to bring the board's attention. I think I forwarded to you and Renee another request from Labaton Sucaro regarding the 2U Inc. Securities litigation.
Yes.
We have a $751,000 exposure on the one class action, and we have $148,000 in a second possible class action. And they're looking for a fund to step forward and help prosecute that second class action. We had initially agreed to do the initial one, but some other firm got to be the class lead in that. And so if I don't hear any major objections from the board, I'd like to proceed talking with Labaton about participating in that class action.
Yeah.
It meets our guidelines.
Right. It does. Okay. Well, I'd say move forward with that. Okay. I'd like to bring everyone up to speed on where we are with the hiring of the new ERS manager position. As I informed everyone last meeting, we had done an oral review board process, and we had interviewed 5 potential candidates. After the review board, we narrowed that down to 3. And then there was an ad hoc committee that did what we refer to as second interviews with the 3 finalists. And the ad hoc committee voted to extend an offer to our own Regina Story to be the next ERS manager. We are currently working through her contract with Wiley, and I intend to have her contract on the July meeting for consideration by the whole board. We had 3 excellent candidates. We elected to select Regina. She's indicated that she's thrilled about that. She's very interested in the position. And I have absolutely no doubt that she is going to do an excellent job for us. Just wanted to bring everybody up to speed on that. And as I said, we'll have her contract on the agenda next month for consideration by the whole board.
Congratulations, Regina.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congrats, Regina.
So that, of course, will mean that once the meeting is scheduled for the 9th of July, we'll approve that, I assume, and the effective date will be the very next day, the 10th, since that is the beginning of a new pay period here at the city. So essentially for July and August, 2 months, the system will carry both Regina and Renee on board to facilitate all the training that needs to take place. And just to remind everybody, Renee's last day is scheduled for September the 11th. Any other comments or questions?
I think we're gonna have like a get together or something for Renee.
Yeah, I will work with Francis. We'll see what we can do in these virtual times that we're living in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Glad to work with you.
Yeah. So, okay, not hearing any other comments, we will adjourn the meeting at 10:38. Thank you, everyone.